on marching on. Soldier, keep on marching on. Wanna take a drink of that promised land. Gotta wipe the dirt off of your hands. It gets hard to stand. Marching on. Down to the soldier, keep on marching.
Hello everyone, this is your Action News reporter with all the news that is news across the nation. On the scene at the supermarket. There seems to have been some disturbance here. Pardon me, sir, did you see what happened?
Yeah, I did.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
The Shaolin, folks, the classic kung fu master that everyone's been waiting for. He's our hybrid of the Wu Lin, and he's a staff-wielding badass. But where do I even start with this guy? The historical inaccuracy of what he's wearing? The insane way he fights? The fact that the Shaolin monks are still around to this day, making them the only modern hero out of all these warriors? The ties to Sun Wukong, the Monkey King? Where do you start? Well, okay, I figured it out. Let's start by taking a step back and talking about what Shaolin is. Shaolin, or pronounced Shaolin, is the name of a forest or mountain pass, and I know that's not super creative, but there it is. Specifically located in Henan province in the centermost part of the country, the Shaolin monastery is a central place of worship and practice of the Shaolin school of Zen Buddhism. It was believed to have been built around the 5th century by Batuo, an Indian Buddhist master who came to China to spread the teachings of Buddha, and thus founded the temple in the Shaoxin mountain, hence the name of the temple. After its founding, the Shaolin Temple would have become one of the centermost points of China's philosophy and interest, as many leaders and rulers would take significant interest in it. This includes the likes of Kublai Khan during the Yuan dynasty, who ordered that all Buddhist temples in China be led by the Shaolin Temple, and it should be noted that several Ming dynasty princes went on to become monks at the Shaolin Temple. Now, what the temple is probably most famous for, obviously, is the martial arts teachings of Shaolin Kung Fu that came from it. The monks of the temple go through rigorous physical training to better themselves in both mind and body. They're masters of various martial arts weapons, including the hook swords that we talked about with Nuxia, the guandao, which we talked about with Zhang Jun, and of course, the bowstaff, which we will talk about soon. It's also said that Shaolin monks have harnessed their inner energy, or chi energy, to harden their bodies like a rock. And this has been tested in real scientific areas and on several martial arts TV programs, so there's at least some credibility to it, though we're not entirely sure how it works to this day. Just another legendary secret of the Shaolin, I suppose.
So you pull from something inside to make sure you don't get hurt?
Yeah.
Okay, well we still have a medic standing by, okay?
Attached to the spearhead is an electronic strain gauge, which will measure how much force is applied to Master Wang's neck. Once Wang has bent the spear, Xiao Jin will break this 1-inch thick wooden rod over his back.
For his sake, I really do hope there's chi. The severity of the injuries and the force that's generated, and having that knowledge of knowing what kind of injuries could result, it makes me really nervous to have him do this. That was pretty impressive. That's pretty amazing. Now you have a mark there. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure, I'm okay.
You're okay.
I'm talking.
He's okay.
I felt the pressure on my foot.
You could
Just
feel it on
pushing
your foot? Well, we definitely saw it in the strain gauge as well.
Despite some redness, Master Wong's neck is unscathed, although two small marks suggest that his collarbones absorbed some of the stress. The gauge on the spear maxed out at 2,900 pounds per square inch, more than enough to puncture his windpipe. It literally defies science.
The training.
Now, where the martial arts that the Shaolin Temple is known for came from is up for debate. Many believe that it was the Bodhidharma from India who came and taught it to the monks who passed it down. According to the legends listed in the Yi Jin Jing, a manual of body posture and breathing, the monk Bodhidharma came to China and saw that the Shaolin Temple was being abused and razed by bandits. Unwilling to let them go through this any longer, he trained them in the art of martial arts, which the monks then adapted and turned into Kung Fu. I would also like to take a moment to say that the word Kung Fu does not necessarily mean martial arts. It can mean any art form that you dedicate yourself to. But thanks to the popularity of martial arts, Kung Fu has come to change its meaning to refer to any Chinese Kung Fu or martial arts style. It should be noted also that though the Shaolin are made legendary in pop culture and in video games, the Shaolin are, at their core, not killers. They do not train to kill others, but rather they seek to train themselves to make themselves better, not to kill others. They seek enlightenment and perfection of mind and body, and for this reason, Shaolin monks are rarely the aggressors, and usually only fight when no other choice lies before them. However, they should not be underestimated. Okay, now, what about the Shaolin in For Honor? What can we say about him? There's still obvious differences with the Shaolin here and the ones in real life. For one thing, according to the lore, the Shaolin in For Honor have abandoned their passivity and will fight to the death to preserve their spiritual beliefs, which flies in the face of what the Shaolin philosophy is supposed to be. Also, it's clear that this monk is based on Sun Wukong, the Monkey King. A little bit of a background for you. One of the three great Chinese classics, The Journey to the West, is a story telling of a Buddhist monk traveling west to collect scriptures from the Buddha and deliver them to the east. But the path is filled with demons and monsters who would gladly eat him if given the chance. So he needs help and protection, which is given to him by a couple of followers, one of whom being the most powerful warrior in Chinese literature, Sun Wukong. A stone monkey who possesses godly strength, speed, and stamina. He is near unkillable and does battle with a long staff or cudgel, just like the Shaolin here. He specializes in trickery and monkey-like antics, which you'll see the Shaolin also perform in his emotes and executions. In fact, many of the Shaolin's head customizations have a monkey mask, nodding to the legendary Sun Wukong. And he isn't the first character to make this reference either. For example, if you're a fan of anime, Son Goku, Naruto, and even Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece all draw inspiration from Sun Wukong in various ways, be it from their looks, their namesake, or their abilities. So, why did I go into this long tangent about Sun Wukong, the Shaolin history, and this Shaolin's connection to all of them? Simple. Because Shaolin is the face of Kung Fu. Deny it all you want by looking at characters like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, or Ip Man. When many people think of Chinese martial arts, the Shaolin monk is the generic look that we think of. Aang from Avatar The Last Airbender takes the cake in terms of examples. Shaolin philosophy, arts, and practices are the roots that we find when analyzing Kung Fu's background and place in our hearts. We always picture the person wearing the orange robes with a bald head, fighting with a bowstaff or fighting with ancient, amazing Chinese techniques. We can't begin to discuss this Shaolin without understanding what spawned him as a hero here. After all, of all the heroes in For Honor, he holds probably the least deadly weapon and fights with the most unconventional means of battle. But if you understand the background, then you can understand why he does what he does. So, without further ado, now that I've bored you to tears with the Shaolin history and information, let's talk about his arms and armor. So to start things off, Shaolin's wearing no armor here to speak of, except for these wrist guards, these bracers. They are the only bit of armor that he wears, unless you want to count the greaves at the bottom, the shin guards. And here's the best part about this, Shaolin actually blocks using those braces. Yeah, he's the only hero who doesn't use his weapon to block attacks. He literally parries with his forearm. Badass. Now, a lot of this does fit with history because hey, the Shaolin didn't wear armor. They weren't actually soldiers, so they didn't go out looking to wear armor. They would wear their robes if they had to fight. Otherwise, he's just got tattoos on his face and tattoos connecting himself to prayer. This is not historically accurate. The monks probably didn't tattoo themselves. And also, I should say that the clothes coloring here is a little off. Most Shaolin would wear orange or a grayish tunic, which I'll show. This would not be accurate. There's way too much jewelry, way too much metal on it. It doesn't fit with what an actual Shaolin would wear, so take some of this with a grain of salt. I'll also say that the Shaolin monks shave their heads as part of their custom. So right up here, the bald head thing, that fits, that's fine. But you will see other looks where they have hair. Know that while the hair may look cool, it's not accurate to the Shaolin. Now the weapon here is the waxwood staff, and here it's a unique weapon, not only because the waxwood staff is so unique, but also because of these metal bits on the far ends. It's not a static weapon. This weapon is actually very flexible and bendy, allowing the staff to recoil in the strike and also make it more able to absorb blows. The metal ends on either side of the staff are not accurate. Most staves, if not all, in the Shaolin temple were bare all the way around because the addition of metal ends makes the staff too dangerous. I'll also say that the staff is not a deadly weapon by itself. It can cause trauma and it can potentially break bones if swung with enough force, but remember, it was not the monk's goal to kill, so it makes sense that they'd have a weapon not designed to do that. So of all the weapons in For Honor, I think I'll go ahead and list the Shaolin monk's waxwood staff as the least deadly weapon. So when we actually watch the executions, you're going to notice me pointing out a lot, this won't kill. But the way they use the staff might be very, very unique. You're going to find it very fascinating the way he uses this thing. I can't wait. Now, let's take a look at my Shaolin before we go any further. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking just by looking at him. Cliff, your Shaolin has hair, and you just said that they don't have that crap. And to that I say, yep. And you want to know what you can do about it?
Nothing!
Absolutely nothing! Cry to someone else about it. I did this because damn it, I feel like he looks awesome with this. I call my Shaolin David because his staff and look reminds me a lot of King David from the Bible. I just feel like he's awesome that way. Speaking of which, let's get a close-up of that face. Yeah, King David rocking it over here. I love it. I love the look. It looks very, very cool. I know it's not accurate to the Shaolin, but whatever. If we were looking for accuracy, I'd look for another game other than For Honor. And then the staff. Okay, so the staff here is a little bit more ornamented and fancy. A waxwood staff would never look like this. In fact, the closest you're going to get to a waxwood staff is the default. But it's still flexible, it looks cool, and gosh darn it, I think it's awesome. Also, I do want to point out a little bit of culture for you. This head up here is supposed to be a Guan Yin emblem. Guan Yin was a goddess or deity in the Buddhist teachings, or in the Hindu teachings. So, pretty cool, right? Just thought I'd share that with you. Alright, so now that we've talked about the Shaolin and everything having to do with their culture, background, and stuff you probably didn't even want to know, how do you fight with them? Well, let's talk about it. Shaolin is probably the most tricky hero to get the hang of. His hybrid nature makes him unique and hard to follow, but also hard to use properly. I'll do my best to explain him here. Now firstly, he's like an assassin character and has a temporary guard, meaning he can't keep his guard up forever, and we'll discuss how to use this to your advantage soon. He has a 2 combo limit for heavies and lights consecutively, so any 2 heavies and 2 lights side by side is a full combo. After the 2 strikes, it kind of ends there. Same as with heavies. The combo ends after the second one. However, by alternating the lights and heavies one after the other, you can keep an infinite combo chain going. Notice how it does drain your stamina pretty quickly though, so you don't want to keep it going forever unless you're in revenge mode, or you want to feint out of it to try to bait a person. We'll talk more about that later. Now, all of this is a great way to apply pressure to your opponent. However, heavies are slower, and thus it's sometimes better to either hard feint out of a heavy, or block to take out the expectant parry. Or, you could always try Shaolin's most fundamental trick, the Chi stance. By holding down the light attack or heavy button at any point, you enter the Shaolin's Chi stance. In this stance, Shaolin has no guard and cannot move. You can notice that he's in the Chi stance when his guard is gone. However, like I said, there's no blocking and no saving from guard breaks. However, despite this lack of a guard, Shaolin gains access to several cool moves. Firstly, If I press down the guard break button, I perform a flurry of kicks which grants two options, either a guaranteed light attack or a sweeping maneuver. The sweeping maneuver grants a free light attack but nothing more, so I don't use it that often. What I do use is the free light attack, which can set me up for another combo, which I'll perform. There we go. Another maneuver. If you hit the heavy attack button from either direction, you perform a dodging heavy. This is undodgeable, and it can be canceled out. Now I should note that from the static stance right now, I can perform a dodging heavy, but it can't be canceled out. If you perform a heavy attack from above, you perform an unblockable heavy attack. However, it's easily dodgeable. Or unblockable. So use it sparingly. What I like to do is I like to do it and then feint out of it. And then catch them in the guard break. Now, if you perform a light attack from any direction, you perform a cool light attack. The top light attack will actually cause stun damage if it lands. But there's more to this light attack. It can do a crushing counter. If you time your movement just right when your opponent attacks you, there we go. As you'll notice, the timing had to be just right, and usually I don't like taking that risk if I'm fighting another player, so I don't recommend this move too often unless you're just really good at timing. So it's just good that you know that maneuver. And then finally, from this position, you can do a taunt by hitting the emote button. I'll also bring up the zone attack real quick. The zone attack is a 3-hit attack which can be canceled at any point. I like to cancel it out after the second one, because on the third one your opponent will expect it and try to block, so best to just cancel it out early. I will also say that in the guard break, you get a free heavy, which some heroes don't have access to, so take advantage of that. So from a defensive standpoint, we've touched on his dodge abilities, sure, but there's more to the Shaolin than that. Shaolin can parry like any other hero, but after the parry he can perform a triple light jab attack if timed properly. Now, here's the thing I should point out. When you do the triple jab attack, it doesn't open you up for another combo. It's just the end of a combo. So what I like to do is on the second one, I hold down the light attack button, which sets me up into chi stance. So I'll demonstrate. One more time. And then it sets me up for a chi attack stance, which is a lot better in my opinion. You also have access to one more move, but this is a very hard move to pull off with Shaolin. I don't understand why it's so much more difficult, but it is. Like an assassin, Shaolin can do an unblockable deflect ability. Yes, a deflect. You have to dodge into your opponent's attack at the moment it strikes with a heavy attack in mind. Let's see if I can't do it. Yes, first try. That never happens, guys. I'm not gonna lie, that never happens. Now, the nice thing about this deflect is that right after it, you can start going right into your next combo. So one more time. Okay, finally got it. Okay, so, sorry about that, guys. So I had to do it one more time just to demonstrate how you could go into that combo. So, that's just about everything there is to the Shaolin. You've seen the parry, you've seen the deflects, you've seen the blocks. So, what other advice can I give? Well, if you go into the For Honor starting menu, you'll see a thing called training to help yourself out and practice with heroes. You should really take advantage of this with Shaolin. Shaolin is one of the hardest warriors to learn. He has a small health pool and not a lot of great defensive abilities. His attacks are complex and it's hard to read, but also hard to pull off. What I recommend is mixing up what you do from chi stance. Hard feint out of your heavy dodge if you can to go into a guard break, and use the kick attack to do a free light when able. Timing matters with Shaolin, so don't rush or try to be too predictable or aggressive. Let your opponents make mistakes and capitalize on them. Dodge rather than parry if you can. There's just a lot of unspoken rules with Shaolin that frankly come with trial and error. So now, let's have a little duel. Okay, guys, I think that about wraps it up for the Shaolin. Let's go ahead and go into his execution. Alright guys, we've talked about how they fight, we've talked about how they look, we've talked about the culture. I've bored you to death with the Shaolin. It's finally time to talk about some execution. So, let's not waste any time and dive right into it. This is one of the Shaolin's original default executions. I can't really find an accurate reference to what it means, but I did find that there is a county in the mountains of China called Angxi, so maybe it's a reference to that. I could be wrong, don't quote me on it. Now, what is he doing here? He is using the staff to knock his opponent off balance by striking him in the face and then kicking his leg out from under him, and then when he tumbles, he jumps on his head. I would give this a 9 out of 10 actually, except for one little thing. If you look carefully, he pulverized the head.
You what?
Which does not happen. Look at that. See? Head's gone. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10, just to spite it, because I'm sick of this. I'm sick of these decapitations and head pulverizations. The Shaolin is made to be this light-footed little monkey, and yet he's managing to land and stomp a person's head off? No, I don't buy that. So this is a 6 out of 10. I think it's cool the way he knocks him on the ground. I even don't mind him landing his feet on the dude's head. That's fine by me, but pulverizing the head kills it. So, 6 out of 10. Cartwheel. Okay, that was awesome. I love it. Strike to the chest, strike to the belly, strike to the neck, trip him up, and then cartwheel over his neck using the staff to crush his throat. That is awesome. I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10. That is a definite 9 out of 10. It's one of my favorite executions of the Shaolin. I love doing it. It's so badass. It just makes him look awesome. I don't even know what else to say. It's just so cool. I will say this probably wouldn't kill immediately unless it broke the neck, which I'm not sure it did. All we can say for sure is that it crushed the throat, which would kill eventually. It would make it more difficult to breathe and probably crush the windpipe. So yeah, that would be deadly. Maybe just not immediately. I think it would have been funny if we saw him twitching or rolling on the ground in pain. That might have been funny. But anyway, that's that. Cartwheel, 9 out of 10. I love it. Maximum Shaolin.
お前はもう死んでいる。何？おは匠でギゼブ。
One more time. Could you get more anime than that? Oh my god. Okay, so what the heck happened? My best guess is this is a reference to Sun Wukong. One of Sun Wukong's signature abilities, he would take off bits of his own hair, because he was a monkey, and breathe on them and toss them into the air, and the hair would turn into clones of himself, and he would release clones on his enemies. My best guess is that's what's happening here. Either that, or the Shaolin is somehow moving so ungodly fast he went Ultra Instinct, which is why he's glowing here. You can see the blue glow around him. And if that's the case, that's even more anime. Whatever the case, this is not real. This is not realistic. This is entirely fantasy. But should I take off points for it? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to break convention here for just a moment and give this a 10 out of 10, because if you wanted to impress me with a Shaolin execution, there it is. This is my favorite Shaolin execution by far. It's so funny, it's so stupid, but it has to be the most awesome thing I've ever seen. 10 out of 10, it's perfect. I love it. Monkeying around. Alright, well, let's talk about this one. Definitely, again, a reference to the Monkey King, acting like a monkey. I don't know why the warden just lets him do that. Just knock the staff off your shoulder or roll it off your shoulder and get him to fall off of it. You don't need to keep him there. And then he catches it and hits him on the back of the head. As cool as that is in no way deadly. A strike to the back of the head would not kill. So nothing about this is deadly. This is actually pretty weak sauce. I'm going to call this a 2 out of 10. This is a 2 out of 10. It's just being goofy for the sake of being goofy. It could go wrong in several ways, and then a strike that really doesn't kill. So 2 out of 10, not impressed. Sorry. Schwa Ping. Okay, despite my best efforts, I have no idea what Schwa Ping means. If you're a speaker of Mandarin Chinese and can tell me what it means, please let me know. So the movement itself is pretty cool. Knocks the staff down, kicks him in the head, dodges the next attack, twists it underneath his legs. Let's see it one more time. Yep. He deliberately puts the staff between his legs to trip him up, which is good. Very fluid movement. I like the fluid motion here. Now, the strike to the head might not kill. It's questionable. It could crush the skull. It could break the neck. There are ways it could be deadly, but it's a big if. So I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. This is an 8 out of 10. It looks really cool, but there are questions that need to be asked. That's all I'll say. There are just questions that need to be asked. Still awesome, though. Brawling Showdown. Again, I can't say this is deadly. The blocks are cool. The way he uses the staff is cool because it shows that even though he's getting in close, he can still use the staff to control the fight. The strike to the chin is pretty awesome, but it's not necessarily deadly. I mean, there are too many questions here. I gotta give this one a 5 out of 10. I don't see this as deadly. I warned y'all, right? I warned y'all. The staff is the least deadly weapon here. Even if I give it as much generosity as I can, there's still too many possibilities for it not to be deadly. 5 out of 10. Flurry of Blows. Okay, that was cool. One more time. This would be a reference to Ip Man and his Wing Chun rapid fire punch. In Wing Chun, you want to concentrate on circular, fast motion blows where you move your arms in tight-fisted and very fast rotational strikes. And Ip Man was famous for doing this to an opponent in the movies. It's like basically just sending out a flurry of tight-fisted punches in one specific spot. There's an old saying, if you want to break down a wall, how do you do it? You hit the same spot repeatedly, and that's what this punch does. He's striking the chest at the same spot repeatedly, and then a final strike. Now, would this kill? Believe it or not, it actually might. If you punch the same spot repeatedly with the same amount of force each time, you might break ribs. And if you break ribs, there's a chance you will break the ribs into an organ. So it is very possible that this could be deadly. Could being the operative word. So I will give this a 7 out of 10. I will be very nice and give it a 7 out of 10. I've got to be nice to the Shaolin guys because really, there's just too many ways he couldn't be deadly. I got to give him a little bit of leniency. Mischievous Kill. This one's a little hard to follow, but stay with me on this one. This is actually, in my opinion, a reference to Praying Mantis Kung Fu. Note the stance he takes after the first block. That's a Praying Mantis stance. So a block again, strike to the side, then to the neck, and then uses his knee to strike the chin. Would this be deadly? Well, let's analyze. That part is not. That is not. This might. That might. Okay, so the strike to the side of the head is not deadly. The strike to the neck could be deadly, and then the knee to the face could again be deadly. So I'll give this one an 8 out of 10. It looks really cool, but you'll notice that the Shaolin tends to use his body more than his weapon for the executions. And I think that's smart. I think that he realizes the staff would not be quite as deadly as his body could be, which looks pretty awesome. So, yep, I like this one. Pretty cool execution, Praying Mantis style. Helicopter Strike. Kind Contrary to popular belief, spinning your staff like that does not somehow make it stronger, and it would not allow you to levitate in the air. I don't care what movies you've seen. Would this be deadly? It could. It could break the skull. This could cause head trauma. Okay. 7 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really trying to be fair. I'm really trying to be nice to the Shaolin here, but it's a staff. You're using a stick. It's hard to look at that and say, oh yeah, deadly weapon. 7 out of 10. The move is cool. The spinning is kind of funny. I like his funny laugh. He's trying to be a monkey. I get it. Still cool. It's still nice, but just questions about the deadliness. And ladies and gentlemen, that is all there is to the Shaolin. That's it. So, any final advice? Well, I said it earlier when I was talking about him in his fight video. You know, he's not an easy hero to get the hang of. A lot like the Shinobi, he has a lot of options to his move kit, but those options can be very, very frustrating. What I would say is, there are some things you just have to try for yourself. Practice him, work with him, learn his skills, learn a style of fighting with the Shaolin that works for you, because actually the Shaolin, thanks to him not being straightforward, there are lots of ways you can handle the Shaolin. Maybe you prefer to dodge a lot and use your dodging mechanics to do more damage. Maybe you like the chi stance more and you want to stick to chi stance counterattacks. Or maybe you like just parrying and punishing an enemy. Or if you like just being aggressive, swing as many of those combos as you can and mix them up with hard feints to play aggressively. Whatever your style is, Shaolin can meet it. And that's what I think is great about Shaolin. Shaolin, much like Kung Fu that he's based around, gives you what you need when you need it. So, one of my favorites of the Wu Lin, an awesome staple of the Wu Lin. It's hard not to hate him. But guys, there's another Wu Lin hero we got to talk about. Tune in next time when we talk about the Fire Lord of the Wu Lin heroes, the Tanhu. We'll see you there, guys.